Hello everyone, and my name is Ben Coleman. I'm one of the hosts for the Florida Aviation Network. And we're here coming to you live, streaming in the clear from the Florida Air Museum, and that's just across the street from the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. It's a beehive of activity here at Sun and Fun. This is the 44th annual Sun and Fun International Convention and Fly-In, and all of this information is being brought to you with a subliminal message of safety. That's what we started with back at Obi Young, Bill Hohenstein, myself with the FAA, and we're continuing right on with the Florida Aviation Network. One of the ways that we're able to do this, streaming live to you on our website, is volunteerism. Even the old codger across from camera number one. I haven't picked on Jack yet today, but I just got him anyway. No, Jack Mendez has been a very, very stable supporter of the Florida Aviation Network, and even our students on camera 2. We got Kevin and Alex on camera 3. So thank you for all of this, and there's so much happening in the background. It takes a lot of effort to put these productions together. And talking about putting productions together, one of our guests today has something to do with the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. I'm not really exactly sure what it is. How you doing, Mr. Smith?
Good. Thank you for asking us here.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and you guys do so much for the Florida Aviation Network, and it's just always a pleasure to get you sitting down in one spot long enough to talk to you, because you're always, you're the janitor over at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, I believe. Isn't that your role?
I have been known to push a broom over there, I'll tell you. But I'm the assistant principal at Kathleen High School and in charge of the Aerospace Academy, yes. So I'm a janitor, chief cook and bottle washer. Anything that needs doing, I get it done.
Well, and you know, there's one thing about you, Keith, is you're so much of a high roller, and you demand so much authority and attention. You're about as low key as they come as far as managerial and principals. It's a big responsibility, and we were talking about that just on the cuff a while back about just how much goes into keeping track of your students and keeping track of the curriculum, keeping track of the county, keeping track of the state, keeping track of a lot of things that are floating around on your plate. And how long has the Central Florida Aerospace Academy been in existence?
Well, this is our 10th year that we've been there. I've been there 7.5 years, but we got started just behind the museum over here in one of the hangars with about 50 students back in 04 and 05, and that school year. And they started with 50 freshmen and sophomores and built from there. Next year they had to add a couple of portables, and when I took it over in 10, we had about 125 students, and now we're just about this next year we're going to be over 400.
Wow, what is your capacity?
We're at about fire code says we can't have more than 500 in there, and with staff of being about 30, we can only have about 470 students, so we're getting close to capacity.
Wow, that's when this first started up, it was always a good concept, and it looked really, really good on paper. And James Ray, if it wasn't for James Ray, I don't know really if we would be sitting here talking about this.
Exactly.
But there was always that little element of doubt of what if this really doesn't turn out to be as successful as we hope and plan it will be. Well, that's behind us now.
It is indeed. It's been a big job. It was my job to try to fill that place up. I think we've done a good job of that, and I'm not trying to claim credit for it by any means. I am, as I've said before, I'm an educator. I am not a pilot. I'm not an aviator, and without the help of my board, Rick Garcia, Jeff Kincart, Lights here at Sun and Fun, Rob Williams, who's the head of the education department at Sun and Fun. Without those guys helping me out, I couldn't have been as successful as I've been. There's just no way. It's been a very joint effort, and we're celebrating 10 years of this year of partnership with Sun and Fun, and we've handed out T-shirts to all the kids, and it's been a big celebration of our partnership. So there's no way I could have been as successful as I've been over there without all the help I've gotten.
Well, you mentioned the word team, and it does take it's a team effort, and with the right team, it really I'm not going to say it's not hard. It's not as hard as it could be if you got to continually look after and clean up your team members as you're trying to build the curriculum, the staff, and so it really it's a testament of what I've been trying to tout this year is you can take the kids and shove them into a cockpit and hope that they like it, or you can make the environment so attractive to the kids that they want to come in and learn about this rather than being shoved into it.
Right.
So that's really what I'm trying to kind of emulate what you have done here. Is your facility over there is just it's beautiful, and not only is it beautiful, but it's more functional than it is beautiful. But it's clean. There's a lot of pride. You can see the pride that goes into that, yes. And you've got to be proud too.
I am proud. I am very proud. We've had of the students that I got now, the past students, they come back and they speak to our students. We've got a couple of students who are pilots on Delta with one of Delta's regionals that are getting almost ready to go into full-time with Delta, that have come back and spoken to the students, telling them about the opportunity, that it is achievable, that it's there for them to grab. We've got students who are graduating from the A&P program who are getting snatched up left and right just as soon as they graduate by some of the regional airlines and the local places that need A&P mechanics. The opportunity is just amazing. I've got several students who this year, I have about 5 that are graduating from FIT who have come back and talked to our students in engineering, want to be aviation engineers. It's very gratifying. I'm very proud of the students. I'm proud of the ones that have graduated. I'm proud of the ones that are here now.
Well, Keith, I don't know. Did you get the memo about there's kind of a new thing going on now that when you retire, you don't fully retire. That you have to come back often.
I did get that memo. Yes. Frequently, as a matter of fact, I keep getting that memo, yes.
Because speaking of which, I think you're about ready to go do some fishing, aren't you?
I am. This is this will be in official capacity, my last Sun and Fun. I'm sure I'll be back, but as head of CFAA, this will be my last one. I'm retiring, officially, I think the retirement date will be next Christmas. I'm going to hang around just long enough to help train my replacement next year.
Good.
And then I'll be gone. But I'll be back over, I'm sure, next year helping out. You'll probably see my face around here somewhere.
After doing it as long as you have and being successful, I'm sure you're going to be here, and you make the best coffee in the land. I mean, and that's one thing about this man. I mean, it's even at his position. He's there dedicated to helping anybody that they open those doors to over there. And it doesn't make any difference if it's fixing coffee or, my goodness, we got a toilet that overflows, Keith's on it. Whatever it takes to get the job done. And, it's so important for the students to see that, because there's a lot of folks in high management positions that they would say, hey, somebody needs to go pick that up. Well, are your legs broke? What's wrong with your fingers? I'll go pick it up. And they need to see that nobody is in a position so high and mighty that they're beyond doing some of the menial tasks that it takes to get the job done. So.
Well, I feel like, it's my campus. If I don't care about it, why is anybody else going to care about it? And I've always tried to project that to the students. It's something they need to carry with them wherever they go.
Well, it shows integrity, and I was just having a discussion with a mechanic just the other day about some maintenance records we were going into on an aircraft that we were working on, and Just happen to think that we put so much, and this is a transport category aircraft, we put so much faith in those maintenance records that you stop and think about it. If somebody goes in there and makes an error, or puts a lie, they say they did something that they didn't. Our whole premise of this industry is based on integrity and truthfulness and honor. And that's something that I see the thread through your curriculum is doing the right thing and putting forth the integrity to not try to hide and cover up. You make a mistake, you own up to it, you fess up to it. And that's getting back to the safety culture that hopefully these students will take with them, like you say, for the rest of their life.
Well, that's one of the things we try to instill in them, definitely, absolutely.
The aspects of you leaving is it's bittersweet. More sweet for you because you're going to be out fishing as the rest of us are out here working.
Right.
But I understand that there's I didn't see it in your pocket because it's a big key. Can you tell us something about, did you just get a key recently for something?
Yeah, I did.
Was it to a little sports car or a mini bike or what?
No, the mayor of Lakeland was gracious enough to give me a key to the city, and in no small part to the job that I've done here at Sun and Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sun and Fun has been very good to me and good to our students, and like I said before, and I said this when we got at the ceremony that if I was successful over there at all, it wasn't me. It was Rick Garcia. It was Lights. It was
Mm-hmm.
Rob. It was Jeff Kincart from the engineer. He's an engineer on my board. JetBlue. They send over their mechanics to be on our board to help with the A&P certificates. So, in no way, I was just kind of managing the herd. In no way was I responsible for all that. I'm very grateful for the key, and it was a great honor, but it was all due to them.
Well, Keith, I use some analogies at times, and one of the analogies for a mild-mannered, a manager that has things under control. You familiar with the sport curling?
Yeah.
A good manager, if he or she is a good manager, really just a sweeper. Because that stone it's going to go, and if you sweep the right way, you can have a little bit of impact on what direction that stone goes. So I look at true, the essence of a real manager is a good sweeper, and I haven't seen it gone wrong because I've seen some folks that don't have good managerial skills, and they get in, they try to physically grab the stone and leave the stone alone. The stone has its own course. It's got to just help guide it along. So you've been a good guider. You've been a good leader.
Thank you very much.
What else can we look for that you have set in motion that's going to be coming through the school, in years to come?
Well, one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to build a better relationship with Embry-Riddle. We've just now added a couple of dual enrollment courses from them, and we're trying to get more and bring them on board as a full-fledged partner. I think that's going to happen very shortly. So that'll be more actual Embry-Riddle courses that are there. We're also trying to add another track that is an air traffic control track. Its own thing. So that's one of the things we're working on, and it's out there. We don't have it yet, and trying to find the right person to teach it. But all of that is things that we're working on for the future.
Well, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a success. But we want to make sure that you keep your thumbprint somewhere on when you see them go in a direction again that you don't think is in the best interest of the student. Somehow I can just envision you with a broom, and even after retirement, there's ways to have an impact.
There is indeed.
And another thing that Keith, just as we're sitting here talking, dispatching, dispatchers. There's a lot that goes into being a professional dispatcher. And how has the school addressed the opportunity to teach some of our dispatchers?
Well, Walt covers that in the aviation classes. I mean, we go over all of the different aspects of aviation. You don't have to be a jet pilot to fit into aviation. I mean, Walt himself, he was both, but for 27 years he was airport manager down at Fort Lauderdale International. So, and he preaches that to all the kids. You don't have to be in a situation where you're going to be gone from your family 3 or 4 days a week just to make a contribution or to take part in the aviation opportunities that are out there. So dispatching, we took a bunch of kids to JetBlue at JFK a couple of years ago, and they toured us around and showed us all of the different jobs that are just theirs. You know, when you talk about air traffic controllers, you're not talking about just the ones that are hired by the FAA. Each airline has their own air traffic controllers that they hire, and they monitor their planes as they come in and leave. And all of the, we went through one of their terminals where there was like 25 monitors and a person stationed to each one, and each one of them's tracking something. So that makes a big impact on the kids, and that's what we try to put out there, that along with dispatching, it's not just that, it's all of the different opportunities that there are out there, and you don't have to be a jet pilot or a jet jockey to take part in all of the opportunities that are there.
Well, you know, don't let it get out that actually flying the airplane is probably one of the easiest parts of the industry.
I'm not
did
going
I
to say
that?
No,
I didn't say that, did I? No, because it takes a lot of skill, but it's a different type of skill, but it depends on so many people in the system. Because actually, you're a systems manager now as a pilot, and you know, the old adage, you've heard the one about the, you know, 2 pilots up in the cockpit, and there's also a dog. And so, well, I understand about the pilot and co-pilot. What's the dog for? Well, that's to bite the pilot if he touches anything. Because
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, we're system monitors. so you got a pilot, co-pilot, and a dog. But we are slowly evolving into the system monitor aspect of it. But there's still, we've got to have that human element in there, and that human has really got to know where the limitations are, how to properly interact with people. You remember the autocratic airline captain back in the 70s and 80s?
Right.
And, what was it, Delta Flight 191 in Dallas, the Titanic syndrome. Well, we're just going to drive it through this microburst, and it's a big 1011, got plenty of power. What could go wrong? And it was a horrible crash. And but that's when we really started to develop the cockpit resource management aspect of it, and it came in to where the captain is really a manager of the system, and the system is not just the aircraft, it's the crew. And that's the reason I'm circling. There's a segue. I'm going somewhere with this, Keith.
Okay.
There's a segue coming back through to all of the ancillary components involved with the industry that, just like you say, if your vision isn't the greatest, if your coordination isn't the greatest, if your motor skills aren't the greatest, there's still a lot that you can contribute to the aviation industry.
Right.
Dispatching is something that I think a lot of people forget about. Planning, route structure, weather, weight and balance, performance charts. I mean, there's so much that they can wrap their head around that there's always going to be something to keep you stimulated in the aeronautical and aerospace industry. So I don't understand why everybody don't want to get into it, but it's a sliver of the real society, and that's why it's so important to see men like yourself put forth the effort to develop that academy to turn out the pros that you do.
Thank you.
Is there anything that we can do from our aspect, from Florida Aviation Network, to help you? And I mean, you're coming to the sunset of your career, which I still go back to the sunset standing in a bass boat with a line out in the water.
And that'll describe me, yeah.
but I know that you're always going to be associated with it in some way, shape, or form. What can we do from this media industry to help your industry of education?
Well, I think you're doing it. I mean, Obi has been one of my big partners since I got involved in this. Just the fact that you have me here, and Obi, anytime we have a meeting of my board, Obi's there taking pictures and reporting on it, just putting it out there, you know, the opportunities that are available for kids these days in aviation, and I think you guys are doing it now.
Well, we will hope to continue doing as much as we can. And as I've mentioned this a couple times before, I used to be one of the youngsters in this business. I'm not so much a youngster anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
And so, but we've got to keep it stimulating for the youngsters.
Oh, absolutely.
To come up into it. Did you, and I'm just going to back up a little bit, the 727 outside of your building, that's a pretty interesting classroom.
It is. Sun and Fun came across that. In fact, you heard me mention Walt Houghton. He got the Sun and Fun educational director. He told them about that FedEx had a program where they were getting rid of their old 727s. So that director called him up, and before long they had it right down here. So Sun and Fun then had to figure out what are we going to do with it, and they come across a great idea. They got donations from the Barnetts and the Davises, and put together a classroom. Took the guts out of it, put classrooms in there. My teachers take their classes in there. They have a smart board that they use that they can project on, and it works as a TV if they want to plug in their things, and it's just a fabulous classroom. Just amazing. And talk about getting the kids' attention. I mean, the kids love going in there.
I remember I was with the FAA when that airplane arrived, and was helping out considerably here with Sun and Fun, and the Sun and Fun management when they found out that FedEx was going to donate an airplane. They said, "Great! Holy cow! Sun and Fun's going to get a 727." And about 5 minutes later said, "Holy cow! What the heck are we going to do with a 727?"
That was it. I mean, that sums it up in a nutshell, because we were all excited about it, and then we're thinking, okay, now what? And then they started brainstorming, and somebody came up with the idea of a classroom, and yeah, that would be great. And so we got the Barnetts and the Davises donated money for it, and there was a few others too. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody else that donated money, and put it together, and it's just a fabulous opportunity for the kids. Yeah.
Do you remember one of the threads of discussions we had was, I think it was Cockamamie Light's idea. Lights every now and then comes up with some real good ones.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, why don't we have one of the engines serviced to where we can actually do a run-up on it?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And then said, "Yeah, that's great. Yeah, let's do that." And when you look into it, there's a lot of maintenance just even spooling one of those JT8s up.
Yeah. And not to mention the cost of the fuel. That ain't cheap either. And
above all, I mean, your 30-day maintenance items. I mean, even if you're going to spool it up and run it, there's some things that's costs a little bit of money.
Oh yeah.
And our money, I think, it boiled down to the funds and the money and the effort needs to go in a little different area rather than knowing how to run up a JT8.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it's been all across the board as far as discussions and what we can do to help create the environment for youth education.
Yeah.
So we've done it, we're doing it, and a couple of your examples are here behind the cameras here,
Indeed.
And these guys, even though I know at times it looks a little bit boring, but they're doing a lot to stay involved with it. Aren't they? Yeah, we're talking about you. You having fun, Alex? Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. But again, I like to play with these guys a little bit because we can get sometimes too stiff on some of these presentations.
There's some more behind the scenes.
And that's in the green room. That's where we
Yeah,
haven't
I've
talked
got a
about the
couple
green
back
room
there,
yet,
yeah.
but it's always good to have our youth involved with us because they're going to be taking over. They're going to be taking reins, and I'm anxious to meet whoever's going to be trying to fill your shoes. When will the selection
Well,
be
the
made?
selection will be starting next month. We wanted to get Sun and Fun out of the way, and then we're going to start interviewing. They're going to actually do a print it in a magazine and Mr. Garcia wants a nationwide search, so we're going to print it in a magazine, see what kind of results we can get. The people from Polk County will be eligible also, but we're going to throw it out there and just see what happens.
Well, you might have some local talent that deserve.
Well, we
to
do
put
have a
their
lot
hand-
of local talent here, and they will get a crack at it too.
And as far as the Keith, I just lost my thought. It was really a good one too.
That happens to me all the
That's
time.
never happened. Never happened to me. We were talking about your. It's gone. You know, it'll come back to me next interview.
That's okay.
But I guess there's only one place to go from here. Let's go fishing.
All right, I'm
We're
ready.
gonna- Keith, really, thank you so much for your
Well,
time and all of your
I
efforts.
appreciate it all the times you've had me here. Thank you.
Well, we'll actually do it again after you. We'll snag you.
Okay,
I want to hear some fish stories.
that's a deal.
All right.
All right.
We're going to wrap this one up, and we hate to say so long in his current capacity to Keith, but we're going to see him in another capacity. I want to see this bass that he's going to bring in, big mouth. And you think that's how long the fish is? No, that's the size of his mouth. Okay, that's a largemouth bass he's going to get. I'm Ben Coleman, one of your hosts for Florida Aviation Network. We'll see you next interview.